Hi, this is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching, doing the trade review for Friday, January 3rd, 2014. This trade review, everything on my blog, on the Stock Twits, and Twitter handle are all for educational purposes only. Nothing on any of those venues should be taken as a trading recommendation. This is simply to help traders move from being frustrated break-even traders, wild swing traders where they're wildly positive one month while wildly losing the next month or week to week, or flat out going from a losing trader to becoming a winning trader. My hope is that I can share my experience with traders out there and help them turn losses into profits. Fairly simple mission statement. So if you watched or were part of the market preview, which by the way I fixed, I'll hopefully have more than enough spaces. I've bumped it to over 100 people per meeting, so hopefully they will be able to join without a problem next time. What we discussed in the morning was that number one issue was that it was a ton of Fed speakers on the docket on Friday, and that when Fed speakers speak, it tends to screw up the rhythm of the market for most traders, number one, and number two, causes puts a measure of risk that's very difficult to quantify right into your trades. So I can give you a couple of examples of that. What I called for, what I thought was most likely to happen, if you'll, again, that market preview is posted right below this video, was that we would have balance. And that balance, my ultimate conclusion was that balance would look something like this, where we would open up and we would trade sideways all day. And that's precisely what we got, was sideways trading. What had to happen in order to for us to have a trend day up or an up day? Well, a couple of things. First of all, I discussed we had to have gap fill, right? We had to stay above gap fill for one thing, which we managed to do the majority of the day, right? Second thing was we had to get above Globex highs, and those were right in this area of 1832 right here, and we tried to do that right here. We failed. They gave it a shot, right? So we didn't have, while we didn't have gap fill, we were unable to clear Globex highs. That was the first clue that we weren't going to have a type of trend day. And then we were able to attain a half gap, if you were, right in here. You see where they tried to hold it right there, and it failed. Now, a couple of things about this morning that were interesting. The majority of the time, I took a short right here at 1831.75, right below Globex highs, and I couldn't get a 2-point rotation down. I got 7 ticks out of 8, and it was really fast. It was right in here, and I needed one more tick. When I get that, I trade in a very leveraged fashion, and it relies on me having to hit my high win rate consistently. Okay, so when I can't get risk off in an area like this down here, sometimes I'll go in and try to take 5 ticks, but usually what I'll do is I simply won't let the trade go negative on me. Does that bite me sometimes? Sure, but net over an extended period of time, it keeps me safe, right? So I ended up getting stopped right back out where I entered the trade, which is right in here. A couple of things about this that I want to point out, okay? This trade took forever. This is from basically 15 minutes in, so 8:45, all the way over until essentially the closest I could have come to getting 2 points would have been right here. After this point right here would have been 8:45, almost an hour into the market, right? And even an hour and 15 minutes in, I still haven't made any kind of significant money. This is about as choppy as it can get. Most day traders, most leveraged day traders, unless you're just scalping in and out of that, which I think is overall net an unsuccessful strategy, right? Because essentially you're having to guess here at this point as to whether we're going up or we're going down, right? So most traders lose money in this. Most of my trades that are successful look like this. If this was a support area, it comes in, rejects quickly. If this is a support area, it comes in, rejects quickly. If this is a resistance area like this, even here, right? If you picked off the middle of the zone, rejects quickly. So when I get this, I have no problem taking a stop. It's no big deal. It's part of my trade plan to take a stop. I just don't want to risk my capital except in those areas where I have the highest odds of winning, right? So that was item number one. Item number two was that we did get the balance, but the market did not stretch down to support levels. This is Globex lows and yesterday's lows. Normally, the market doesn't have, if we break down below the gap fill, normally we have no difficulty getting into this area right here. It just didn't happen. Not a problem, not a big deal. I just didn't have a trade. That's all. Would have I liked it to stretch down there? Sure. It's unusual that it didn't stretch. And one of the reasons why it's unusual that it didn't stretch, relatively speaking, ES was much stronger than NQ. And I'm going to show you that here real quick. It was something that was weighing on the market all day. And that would be this item right here. Okay, so on NQ, we had a couple of things that told us we weren't having an up day on NQ. First thing was, again, just kind of going through a checklist that I have, right? Have we cleared Globex highs? Okay, that was 35.6650, okay, and we came nowhere close. That was up here. We did not get into the white zone at all. Sellers were in control all day. The white zone works like kryptonite. Remember, the further away we are, the less influence it has. The closer we are, the more influence it has, right? In order for buyers to get in control, we had to get above the white zone. Clue number one. Clue number two, we had gap fill because we closed right here. So we pretty much opened where we closed, but then we quickly got below that area. If we look at the previous day's lows, right? Globex lows was, Thursday's low was right here. And then we had Globex lows at 35.46. I just moved that, didn't mean to. So I think that's approximately putting it back where it belongs, roughly. This 35.46 area was critically important, and you'll see they tried to hold that 35.46, 35.47 area right here. So we had a couple of clues on NQ that we're going to have a down day, right? First of all, this first 45 minutes is dominated by pretty vicious chops. I promise you, traders who try to trade this long based on this candle and short based on this candle, right? Even into here, we're just getting the daylights chopped out of them. This is very, very difficult trading environment. These are 5-minute bars that are whipping back and forth, and they're whipping for about 5 to 10 points, depending on the candle, right? So that's $100 to $200 a contract. What happens in these areas, and this doesn't apply to all traders, but if you're a trader that overclicks, right, you'll get frustrated. First you're long, then you go, oh no, it's short, you flip short, then you cover and you get back long again. You can rack up quite a bit of losses in a very small period of time right in this area. Okay, so the next part is you'll notice while ES was in balance, NQ was not in balance. We broke down below this, and then finally the last piece was we got below. Let's take a look here. Here's your Thursday lows, right? Let's wipe this out. This is your Thursday low right here, right? 35.50. When we finally got below 35.50, I actually took a trade right here, right at 35.50, and the hope was, right, I took my long trade right here. My hope was that we were going to come in just like we did here, right? Trap late sellers, get back above, and then move back up. That strategy worked just fine on ES. It did not, however, on NQ. We took the opposite track. We broke down. We had several layers of potential support areas right below it, right? So I forget my exact entry, but assuming when we were 35.50, essentially I had to have it hold above 35.40. It did not happen. I got stopped. That's fine. No big deal. As I discuss quite often, the reason why I don't move my stops is because what most traders have a fear of is having their stops hit. I don't. My stops are there to keep me safe. I know the majority of the time the trade decisions that I'm making have a very high outcome. How do I know that? Because A, I track my stats very carefully, both of the trades I do take and the trades I should have taken but did not take. And I know that the majority of the time in the current environment, meaning the current volatility and daily ranges that we have, that my stops will keep me in business and will keep me profitable, right? I know that 5 points keeps me out of a lot of winning trades and 10 points keeps me in a lot of winning trades, assuming good trade location. Therefore, I'm fine taking the stop. The other thing that I'd like to point out for the day that's very important to me, I have a pretty solid rule. If I take 2 stops back to back, particularly 2 losing stops back to back, I'm done for the day. But in this case, I pretty much wrapped it up anyways on my second stop, and this is the reason why. First of all, I got stopped out break even on ES up near the first hour, right? I couldn't get that rotation. No loss there. I paid some commission dollars. I did take a loss here, 10-point loss. That's equivalent to 4 ES points, right? Normally the hard rule is 2 stops back to back and I'm done. But I already have 2 stops here, one for break even, one for a loss, and I have Bernanke on deck, which is a wild card. I have no idea what's going to happen, right? So in my mind, normally my first two trades of the day are profitable. At this point, I have one break even and one loser. I already know that I'm way outside of my normal behavior patterns for my trades. Why keep pushing it, right? We can just simply turn around and go, I'll just come back Monday. The Fed won't be speaking. Life will be nice. It'll be easy, okay? Easy relatively being a relative term, right? So I can wait. I can wait till I see what happens next. Moving on with that thought, right? If you look towards the end of the day, another clue that we're going to have that rollover, and again, I simply left. I just didn't want to be trading in this area. Okay, look at the move up here in NQ, right? You'll notice that we were unable to recover even half of this loss. Down here, we were unable to get even half of this loss. We were unable to get into Thursday's lows. Contrast that with ES, right? Look at ES in the afternoon. Look at the roll back up we had from the lows. We were unable to get to the prior day's lows, right? NQ were already trading below the lows. We were unable to get below the prior day's lows, and we rolled all the way back up almost into the day's highs, right? Right up into the white zone. Now, this is a nice rotation for a short, right? The key there was NQ was severely lagging. If you stay a conscious observer between those two indexes, right? NQ has been leading ES, not ES leading NQ, almost throughout this entire rally. Okay, so when NQ was weak, it gave you a tip of the hat that perhaps this would give you a nice trade location, right? You actually had, if you look on your tick, you'll see that we had 2 plus 1,000 tick readings here in this area, okay? One occurred right here, and the second occurred right here. It was essentially, I'm sure there's a better technical term for it, but it's essentially, it was a flat divergence, meaning the tick was not able to exceed 1,000, but we had higher price with an equal tick reading, right? Not as nice as having an actual tick divergence, but could give you a good heads up. It was the last hour of the day. The stretch gave you a nice zone. Again, the reason why I don't take contra trades in the last hour, one of the reasons why I don't like actually putting on trades at all in the last hour, look at the rate at which this fell off in the last hour. Man, it is so hard. There was almost no rotation through this if you're taking a contra trade to make any money. You had to have it right, which means it was a short here. If you said, well, we're going to go long here, if there was a zone, you know, in fantasy land, or here, you just ended up getting stopped at the low of the day. That's no fun, and then it even fell off further after the close into the 4:15 Central time frame, right? Look at that same trade on NQ, right, at the end of the day. Look at this here. We were unable to, first of all, we were unable to get over halfway back, right? So that showed you sellers in control. We couldn't even get into Thursday's lows. And then look at this really, this last 30 minutes. This is, guys, if you got this right, you made a killing, okay? But if you did not, okay, this was Pain City. There was no place to get out of this trade without a loss from the top, right? From the lows, you did okay. We came right off the support area, right? And if you had a ton of patience, again, Whip City through all of this. You had to be very good to hold into basically to the Bernanke speech, and then they just punished the people, took it to a new low on the close of the day. A couple of points about this, okay? So I often see on stock twits and Twitter, and everyone knows we're all following other people, we're all looking at what others are doing or saying, right? Well, one of the things that you have to realize as a trader, particularly if you're a new or less experienced trader, right? It's hard to be everything to everyone. I picture it like a football game, right? Not everyone can be the quarterback, not everyone can be the linebacker, and not everyone can be the nose guard. Find out what works best for you, and then also, right, detect a little bit of BS when someone says, I caught every trade here and I caught every market, and I knew that yesterday was perfectly long and the following day was perfectly short, and I got all these trades, right? Particularly when they're telling you post the event, right, where they have no chart that they put up, even if it's a chart they send to subscribers and post later, right? That's that gives some credibility to them, right? But there's so many people out there that said, yeah, we had this, or yeah, I had this, or I knew this was going to happen, or I knew that was going to happen. All you can know as a trader is two things. Don't get deceived. You can only know where a good trade entry is, where the appropriate stop loss is, right? And the stop loss has to cover two items. It has to cover what you can afford as a trader, which I had an extensive stock twits conversation with, or a Twitter conversation with some the other day. And you have to know what is the appropriate price for the instrument you're trading, right? If you have for example, on NQ, if you're going to trade with a 3-point stop, right, and the average rotation, let's say, is 7 points, okay, you're going to have to nail the bottom of the rotation perfectly each and every time to survive a 3-point stop. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a gross amount of losers, right? Now, my rotation is different. I don't want to share that right now with what it is, but it's a larger rotation, and I know that generally speaking, for my entries, a 10-point stop keeps me in the majority of my trades for rotation up. Also, one last point, I did actually end up making I did have a profit on NQ. I actually entered here, and I could have taken 3 or 4 points right in here, and I just didn't. My target was to make another push up into here, and I should have taken off a scale. I just didn't, and that was my trading bad. I thought we would get more of a lift than we were getting based on what I was seeing in ES. Anyways, guys, that's what I have. What I would stress as a trader, if you're trying to figure out how this thing works or how to get steady, what works for me, right, is targeting 2 points for profits, right, getting good stretches into my entries at specific points on the chart, which are obviously my trade zones that I put up in the morning, right? And all I need is 1 or 2 trades a day and to increase that trade size as I move along. Now, there's other small little nuggets in there that really help the performance. You don't only have to take 2 points, but you do have to know when is it an appropriate time to leave a trailer and try to get more, and when is it an appropriate time just to take 2 points. And it should be in your trade plan. You should know that before you ever approach the market, and you should absolutely know without question where you're going to stop trading for the day in terms of losses or stops in the day. It's the only way you can keep that equity curve climbing straight up, right? And if you know that day over day that your first 1 or 2 trades are going to be profitable, taking a stop early in the day or stopping trading after 1 or 2 stops in the course of a day while you still have a relatively small drawdown, right, does not become a threat to your business model. And that's assuming you have a business model. But if you're not taking that stance of approaching the market every day as a new opportunity, as that you know for a fact that you have a high odds entry and exit setup, then everything seems like a threat because you don't actually know what you're doing. You don't actually know what is going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. And you'll notice I spend relatively little time talking about targets. Targets are nice. They work for some people. I just assume take my 2 points and head south and enjoy the rest of the day. I've built a very, very nice living and a very nice lifestyle off of 2 points on the ES. And I get some home runs in between, and that's always nice. But the focus here is just to get people trading profitably on a regular basis. The home runs come from other sources, and if anyone would like to talk to me about those, sometimes I'm happy to set it up for them. It's exactly what I do in my coaching. But 1 step at a time. First, get your 2 points a day, build your trading account, increase your trading size. Everyone have a great day. I look forward to seeing y'all on Monday morning. If you have any questions, you can hit me on tradeandperform@gmail.com. Stock Twitch, you can send me a direct message, or on Twitter. Anyways, have a great day, guys. See you soon.